Welcome back to Tabletop Salt. I'm Ross, and today I want to discuss, do we need the Rogal Dorn? Now, it's a new addition that many people are happy with, and frankly so am I. I do like new units. But there are some questions about it. That does the Rogal Dorn fit in where other potential could have been had with a new vehicle or option bearing the name of a Primarch? First up, I'm going to look at some pros and cons of the Rogal Dorn. So first one is a heavier battle tank on a larger scale helps distinguish the importance of battle tanks over other vehicles. I did feel the Leman Russ in size did feel a bit the same as some of the other auxiliary vehicles that are an option for Astra Militarum forces. So having something that is maybe a little bit more regal, larger, helps create a sense of maybe prestige about the model in itself, a bit above the Leman Russes and a little bit above all the other vehicles as well. On that note, it is also a very cool centerpiece model. Instead of maybe tank commanders leading in some way, you have a vehicle that is even bigger, and so it almost seems like a leader around the other Leman Russes. It's an affordable and useful vehicle to put upgrades on. This is more on the gameplay side than say a Super Heavy, where Super Heavy costs a lot, both in points, maybe command points as well. This is something a bit more affordable that if you want to put command points into, or upgrades etc, say your tank aces, then yeah, this seems like a really good option for it, and in the rules that is something I would definitely lean towards. And new units are always quite good. It's nice to have a bit of variety and options for when you are playing a force. Now, one thing I would note, I'm not a Space Marine player. Well, I suppose I'm a Chaos Space Marine player. So they do have far too much bloat in their codex that does have way too many options. And I don't feel Astra is quite there yet, though they do have a large selection of options. But I do feel this is a good one that is that sort of upgrade to vehicles that I thought was quite good. Now, on to the cons. The Rogal Dorn does fulfill the Leman Russ role in a large degree. Now, I think there's been some examination points which one does what better, depending on its points. But you can see the difference here in the Oppressor Cannon compared to the Battle Cannon. Although you do have the Twin Battle Cannon, I suppose, for the Rogal Dorn. That, in a large ways, it does cover a lot of what the Leman Russ can do. So it seems very similar in that role, maybe just better than the Leman Russ, so you've got something in almost an identical role. It reduces the big threat and prestige of a Leman Russ, making it feel lesser, and I think that's a large part when it comes to the tank commander. I really feel I would have liked an option for the Rogal Dorn to actually have a tank commander as well for it. That way, if you wanted to have a tank commander Rogal Dorn and it was leading a bunch of Leman Russes, I think that would be really cool. Instead, you've got a Leman Russ leading a bunch of Leman Russ tank commander leading maybe Rogal Dorn, and that feels odd. I suppose it kind of makes sense in that a tank commander may not use the biggest weapon possible, but I think I would have liked that, or at least a vehicle that is distinguishable for a tank commander. The look of the model has been extremely polarising, I'd say. Many positive, many negatives. On with me, I actually am not a big fan of the model. I feel it's a little bit too much of the World War sort of aesthetics, that I feel it leans into that more than it does towards the 40k aesthetics of Astra Militarum. But I know many people who are fans of sort of World War II gameplay tabletop games, and they actually really do like it, so it's one of those personal taste things. I'm a little bit negative on it, but again, I have heard many people say they are positive. And lastly, I just don't believe that the name Rogal Dorn fits with this vehicle, and again, people might disagree with that one, but I thought there might be a lot more potential of what a Rogal Dorn could have been. Speaking of what the Rogal Dorn could have been, I'm going to look at some of the lost potential and ideas I had in my mind when I heard the rumour that a Rogal Dorn model was coming out. So I believe the Rogal Dorn should have sort of been like a command platform. It seemed like the more ideal vehicle or fortification to bear the Rogal Dorn name, something extremely tough, but it's about almost buffing instead of actually dealing damage. Either option should have acted as a heavier or larger option to take than, say, a command squad. It's almost that if the Rogal Dorn was an upgrade to Leman Russ, that a Rogal Dorn to me should have been an upgrade to the command squad. Now, this would give another option beyond just taking a tank commander in Lehman Russ. Now I also believe that maybe the tank commander should have been an option for the Rogal Dorn in the model that we've been given. But as a terrain piece, this could have been a built-up fortification, a large stationary building that really bears sort of Rogal Dorn in terms of fortification. That's kind of what he was known for. But the problem with that is that if it was stationary, which there's no need for fortifications to always be stationary, look at Tal for instance, that it may have struggled because fortifications just in this edition and previous ones just haven't done as well. As a vehicle, this could have been completely different look to other vehicles. It could have been very, very unique. I actually imagine it being open-topped, maybe multi-tiered, and it had different sections to it as well. Possibly it had a void shield instead of actually being, you know, so encased and difficult to hit like a normal tank. And it's as if the commander would be looking upon the battlefield in this fortification or vehicle, which I think would be quite cool. And then maybe think of it had a bunch of heavy bolters on it, whether they were manned by men or they were turrets that were designed to sort of target units around them. I think that generally would have been very, very cool. Either or should act as an ability to issue commands because it is an upgrade for a command squad, and have upgradable options for sort of what, you know, different commands you want to do. So think of it might have a medical centre section of it, or a vehicle repair, or an ammunition depot. So if it had a medical centre, you could try and say that units around it, or infantry ones, or at least non-vehicle ones, would be able to either ignore wounds or recover models. If it was a vehicle one, it'd be the same idea, but it would be for vehicles. Now ammunition maybe allow it to also give buffs to reroll hits, reroll wounds, etc. Just generally, you'd have these different sections that you've built this vehicle around that it does different things depending on the upgrades that you give it. And I think that would be absolutely awesome. And after all, you know, when it comes to command centres, hey, I thought I'd include this one. Yoda needed one. He had to be taken there. He was a great Jedi. So sometimes, you know, just having this different option I think would have been really, really good. You saw it with the Space Marine HQ command tanks. They had that. When it comes to the idea of Rogal Dorn, I didn't see a battle tank that was about dealing damage. I saw one that was maybe hard to bring down, or a fortification or vehicle that was about issuing commands and being a sort of command centre. That would have been really, really cool, in my mind anyway. And that is it for this video on do we need the Rogal Dorn. Ultimately I'd say yes, I do like the idea of a bigger battle tank. That might be quite good. I would prefer to have been a tank commander one, but does it really suit the name Rogal Dorn? That's something I'm a little bit against, but again, I could see some people saying otherwise. Let me know. Please comment, share, like and subscribe. I'm very, very interested to hear what people's thoughts are on this. Am I completely wrong in overthinking this? Let me know. And we'll see you on our Tabletop Assault Battle Report.